Good afternoon. Welcome to We Believe Digital Newsbreak Show, Wednesdays and Fridays at 12 noon. Coming to you from downtown Jackson, a dynamic studio here, multimedia type studio, doing all kinds of activities in the community, and we look forward to your engagement with the studio. You can always reach us at 1-800-492-5186. My name is Chris Young. I'll try to bring you this Newsbreak show. Got a whole bunch of stories to go over. You can always follow us in the chat. We really appreciate your engagement. And we also would love it if you could follow us on YouTube. We've got a lot of followers on Facebook, and we're looking to increase our followership on YouTube. So go there, like the program, share the subscribes, share with your friends and so forth. We'd be happy to see you watching us from YouTube just as much as Facebook. So we'll start out on the global front. Just an hour or two ago, the International Criminal Court issued arrest warrants for Russian President Vladimir Putin and a lady by the name of Maria Lvova-Belova. I hope I got that right. Alleging responsibility for war crimes of unlawful deportation of children and that unlawful transfer of children from occupied areas of Ukraine to the Russian Federation. So we're going to have to see what goes on with that. But apparently they're trying to move these children into Russia from Ukraine, and obviously constituting a war crime to be in a sovereign nation and taking a population, especially defenseless children, across the border to Russia. Also, President Xi of China is just announced heading to Russia next week to meet with Putin for, quote, comprehensive partnership and strategic cooperation, unquote. So we'll see. We'll see what that's all about. It seems like China is kind of along a certain kind of line here with Russia, where they want to maintain a partnership, but they don't want to go too overboard. And they're definitely, with all the U.S. and NATO support for Ukraine, they definitely want to be on the other side of that. When we skip down to the national news stories, this combat engineer, Private Anna Balsaduares, Balsaduares, died Monday at the Army base Fort Hood. And now that's just been 3 years since Vanessa Guillen was murdered, and her body found, I want to say, about 3 miles off the base. That was just 3 years ago. So an investigation is open into that, finding out why these women that are in the early stages of their training, presumably very young women, are dying either at Fort Hood or in close proximity to Fort Hood. Just cannot understand why this stuff goes on. Between that and the sexual assaults that we reported to you, last week, huge numbers of a spike in sexual assaults at U.S. military academies. So not sure what's going on with all that, but we'll try to keep an eye on it and keep you updated on that. There's a new report that got uncovered. I don't know if it was maybe not publicized at the time, but somebody has unearthed a report from 2011 to 2016 showing that 57% of black veterans, these are, Iraq War veterans, claims for PTSD were denied. 57% of the claims denied compared to 43% for white veterans. So obviously this is now out in the public forum, and of course the only response of the VA is that they're opening an investigation into this. Of course, leads one to believe, why it wasn't already investigated when the report was issued, presumably in 2017 or 18. So, and that's a case where you have an institutional situation, different than individual racism, individual discrimination, but now you see it, coming through institutions. Not uncommon in America, of course, but, you'd like to think that the VA of all institutions, their pledge is that to take care of veterans. And so sad news on that front. By now, everybody's heard about the Silicon Valley Bank crumbling, and the parent company of them in grave danger. It's just in the last week, apparently, they secured up to $300 billion of funding to help to get things back on track there. The CEO of Silicon Valley Bank resigned just a couple days ago. Janet Yellen issued a statement a day or two ago that said that no taxpayer money will be used. So I'm not sure exactly how that works with regard to, when the government does that. Does that mean, printing separate money or something? I don't know, again, exactly how that works with the Treasury and the Federal Reserve. And when you talk about $300 billion, just madness and craziness. But the White House has indicated that, they're going to find a way to protect the investments of people in that bank. And many of the investors, I don't have a percentage for you, but I read an article earlier that there was many black investors. And so it's good to hear that Biden says that nobody's going to lose money over this. They're going to find a way to make sure that the investors remain whole. So that would be wonderful. NPR, working with the Marshall Project, report that the Thompson Prison, this is in Illinois, the Thompson Prison Special Management Unit, which only opened in 2019, is closing. They have had just since 2019, it's become one of the most lethal prison units in the country, and people keep dying, people keep suiciding, harsh conditions, civil rights issues going on, and so not sure where those prisoners are going to shift to, but it would seem if there was a special management unit that those particular prisoners were of a higher priority than others, and so obviously something's happened that has tripped the decision making to close that unit down. So again, we'll try to keep up with that and keep you posted on that story. Thompson Prison Special Management Unit in Illinois. Up in Henrico County, Virginia, a couple days ago, a 28-year-old man, Irvo Otienode, died at the hands of the intake facility at a Virginia mental health facility, and 10 people are being now charged just very, very quickly with second-degree murder. So some of these are deputies, some of these are the hospital staff. The word is that this man was smothered. This 28-year-old man was smothered while in restraints. There's some reports that he attempted to assault several people. there, which may account for the restraints, but then to be smothered while in restraints, just trying to grasp, what that is all about. These are tough. Apparently they came and took him from an emergent care. The counties, a lot of counties have 24-hour places, like a urgent care for mental health, if you will, where they try to address emergent issues, and thereby avoid longer-term hospitalization for folks. But his behavior at that facility was not good, and and so he was removed from that facility and being brought to a long-term mental health facility when all this went down. So our awareness of mental illness is growing over time. Our methodology for attempting to address mental illness is growing all the time. It's often misunderstood. A lot of stereotyping goes on with mental illness. Lots of times people don't want to ask for help because of that, because they're immediately ostracized. And but we have an enormous amount of mental illness going on in this country, and different things can contribute to that. And the list is very long, but we certainly here at We Believe encourage, if you're not feeling right, if something's off, if you've been told by other people they're concerned about your behavior, see a doctor, get checked out. Your life is important. Every life matters. You are valuable. Each and every human being is valuable. Go get checked out. And let people give a chance to help you. Sometimes a simple prescription for a certain medication can do the trick. Sometimes it's maybe a little group therapy or some different homeworks from therapy or something can really help you out. Meeting some different people, interacting with others, interacting in nature can be very helpful. Sometimes it can be very, very simple. And so please don't hesitate. You're worth it. Get checked out. As we shift down to the Mississippi State news from the national level, today is another day in the state of Mississippi where our Republican legislators have elected not to hold a hearing on the TANF scandal. The TANF scandal, where upwards of $100 million of federal taxpayer money was pilfered, was embezzled from the TANF funding that Mississippi receives on an annual basis, for the poorest of the poor in Mississippi. And we already know that Mississippi is the poorest state in the country. And so rather than try to help these people and try and deal with causes and conditions, set up programming that can help people lift them out of poverty, be able to assist them in earning a living wage, and be able to have more equity and more balance. Instead, Republican administrators, including for sure the former governor, but there's absolute ties to the current governor who's running for re-election. And these legislators don't call for a hearing on the issue. The Democrats have held 2 hearings so far. The actual nasty deed went on 3 to 4 years ago. But who knows what's going on now? Sometimes there were reports that only 1.5% of the people that applied for these TANF monies actually got the monies. And we're talking about, like, for a family of 3, we're talking about like $260 a month. It's just bizarre to try to imagine, a living with that amount of money. So we're just going to keep saying it here at We Believe Digital, that every day passes and these people do not want to look into it. They do not want it brought to public light. It's happening, but they're not invested in that happening. They're invested in the status quo, which is not to talk about it and just say, oh, the legal folks are handling it. But that's not responsible leadership. You know, leaders lead. They fight for change. They do the right thing. They're honest with their constituents. They're transparent. They don't reside in closed-door meetings. And imagine, you know, somebody stealing upwards of $100 million for poor people, and not one Republican legislator over there has called for a hearing on that. Just absolutely bizarre. Tells you so much about the state of Mississippi. So we'll stop now for a brief commercial, and then we'll get right back with you.
Looking for the hottest content in the city of Jackson and surrounding areas? Check out WeBelieveDigital.com. Also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. We Believe Digital Podcast is here for all your podcasting needs. Looking for the hottest content in the city of Jackson and surrounding areas? Check out WeBelieveDigital.com. Also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. We Believe Digital Podcast is here for all your podcasting needs.
Do you have something to say? Do you want your voice heard? Join the We Believe Global lineup. Be the star of your own show. For more info, call 800-492-5186, option number 1, or visit online at webelieve.global.
And welcome back to We Believe Digital Newsbreak. Chris Young with you today, just running through some different stories and try to keep you up to date on things that are going on. We just talked a little bit about the TANF scandal and the Republican folks not any of them, not one of them, being willing to call a hearing on this fraud issue. And just yesterday, tacked on to that story, just yesterday, the North Mississippi Family Resource Center Director, Christy Webb, this is one of the major nonprofits that was used to funnel this money to people that weren't doing anything for the TANF program. And she pleaded guilty to charges connected to the TANF scandal. Could lead to 10 years in jail for this woman. And this follows guilty pleas by the former Department of Human Services Director, John Davis, happened last September. And before that, Nancy and Zach New, nonprofit operators who pleaded guilty in April of last year to the embezzlement and to fraud and to wire fraud and so forth. So far there's been 4 to 6 people that have pled guilty. A lot more are being talked to. Every last one of these people is white people stealing money from the poorest among us in Mississippi. And I don't want to say for a minute that a percentage of those poor people are not white, because they are. You know, it's something like 13% or more of the white population living beneath poverty level, but it's a lot higher percentage for black folks in Mississippi. So that's another guilty plea by a white lady, Christy Webb, former director of this major nonprofit that took in gobs and gobs of embezzled TANF monies. Something on the good side of things. Senate Bill 2212 was signed into law yesterday by Governor Tate Reeves. This is the postpartum expansion. So for the last 3 years, the Speaker of the House, the outgoing Speaker of the House, Philip Gunn, has muzzled this legislation to try to expand Medicaid in a very specific carve out just for new mothers. Just for new mothers. See, the federal law requires that Medicaid take care of all the expenses of the newborn, but after delivery, and the mom prenatal and delivery and so forth, but the coverage stops for mom, not for baby, but for mom 2 months after that. So this is a carve out to expand that coverage out to 1 year, because every single year in Mississippi, well over 100 women die because they don't have adequate health care coverage. Everybody and their brother that knows about obstetrics has gone on record and asking for this and claiming that it's absolutely indisputable that these women are dying because of lack of health care coverage. They're poor. That's their big crime in life, is that they're poor. And so anyway, whether it's politically motivated with the governor running for re-election or not, but this is finally now state law. So poor moms in Mississippi, moms that do not have insurance, will be able to continue to see their doctor and get medical resources for a full year. And that will keep Mississippi families intact. Poor families, and that will keep them intact and give them a chance to work and build their life together as a family, and get some kind of equality there. And so we're pleased to report that to you. Back to the sad note again. Last night, early this morning, just before 3 a.m., a female pedestrian killed in Hattiesburg by a Mississippi Highway Patrol vehicle. Not sure the exact details of that. Of course, they said there's an investigation open. Don't know who was driving, the vehicle, but 3 o'clock in the morning, Hattiesburg. Not paying too much attention if they hit a pedestrian at any time. So we'll see what happens with that. Heard just a blip of a story yesterday. I can't seem to find it on the web anywhere. Maybe it's not on the web, but every so often I like to listen to the Super Talk Mississippi radio station, because that's where you hear so much driving of what's going on in the state. They get untold monies through the state of Mississippi. They seem to be a go-to network, they're constantly having Republican and other, but predominantly Republican legislators on their programming. And they talked yesterday. The guy called it a soiree, heading in April to Mar-a-Lago. So this includes all the Republican U.S. Representatives from Mississippi. I don't think they invited Benny Thompson. Maybe that was an oversight. But, and Delbert Hosemann is bringing folks down there. I think he'll be the senior person down there, but I'm not certain on that. But so they're going down to meet with the former president. I'll keep looking for information on that. It's a very expensive undertaking. I'm really curious who gets to pay for all that. They talked about these different levels of sponsorship for this, fundraising type of thing going on down there. And even the lowest level, which is for students, is like $750 a ticket. So, up to some ungodly or $25,000 or $50,000 a ticket or something like that. So, interesting to see who actually pays for that and where that money comes from. So we'll keep an eye on that and get back to you. On to sports a little bit. Told you on Wednesday that Southern Miss is out at the NIT, getting roundly beaten. Mr. Williams reminded me they didn't get edged out. They got roundly beaten by UAB, 88-60. So in the big dance, Mississippi State lost to Pitt by 1 point. So that's it. That's it for the big dance. But for them on the men's side, the women's side, so Mississippi State won their play-in game against Illinois. They won 70-56. So they are now in the round of 64. And tonight at 6 p.m. they play Creighton. So Mississippi State women, go Bulldogs, and I hope you guys do great. The Ole Miss women. Again, Southern attempted to play in, but lost to Sacred Heart by 10 points a couple nights ago. And tonight at 9 p.m. there's a West Coast game. Ole Miss women playing against Gonzaga. I think Gonzaga's rated about 9th or something like that. Ole Miss not nearly as high, but we'll see how that plays out. We're rooting for you guys, and we hope you do well. On the Jackson front, well, actually, there's one little story kind of in between, Mississippi and Jackson, and that's Rankin County. Yesterday, a Rankin County judge rules the sheriff department not playing by the rules over there. When people make public records requests, there's like 7 days for those to be honored or amended. There's supposed to be communication between the requestors and so forth. So a media company in New York had made an appropriate request for incident reports from the Rankin County Sheriff's Department, and they blew them off. And I think there were some that were submitted that were heavily redacted, and then there's other ones that they claimed, well, they were not incident reports, they were investigation reports. So they kind of renamed the reports, so they technically thought that they didn't have to comply, but the judge say, So we'll see how those Rankin County Sheriff's people get held accountable there. Be sure to check out, the GRIO is an interesting source to read from. Be sure to check out an article that came out in the GRIO 2 days ago, article on Jim Crow 2.0. It's a comprehensive article, features some local people here, features Kathy Sykes, a former representative from Hinds County. Good story to read. I want to share with you, too, that WAPT got some recognition. Journalists Aaron Pickens and Megan West were honored this week during a Women's History Month celebration for their contributions. Kind of hard to miss these two ladies. They are on all the time, dynamic, just solid work. That Aaron Pickens is some about her. She is really something else. Very dynamic woman, and we're so happy that they were recognized for their contributions. They're prominent figures, and they're great journalists. We see them all the time, and we always wish them the best. There's a traveling Emmett Till exhibit is going to open at the two museums on April 1st. It's going to run through May 14th. I can't wait to see that. I can't help but assume it will be very similar to the exhibit that I've seen twice at the National African American History African American Museum of History and Culture in D.C., sometimes referred to as, the newest Smithsonian. Phenomenal museum. If you ever get to go there in D.C., they have time tickets and different things, but it's really something. So this traveling exhibit is bound to be phenomenal. And, we just had a traveling exhibit, last year or 9 months ago. The Green Book exhibit was off the charts. I'm sure this one will be too. Provide you with lots and lots of information that you probably didn't know before. Great way to train your children, bring the whole family over there. April 1st through May 14th, free at the two museums. And I think that's just about, there's some neighbors making some comments about Thomas Hudson resigning as JSU president, different stories out there in the public domain. Not sure. We're not really interested in getting into that until there's something kind of definitive. The rumors are really going on that, but we don't know for sure. So we'd rather just wait till we hear something definitive on that, and be sure to wish Elaine Hayes Anthony, the acting president, keep her in your prayers, and we wish her the best moving on. So we send you wishes for a great weekend this weekend. Hope you get some chance to spend with your friends and family and loved ones, and listen to each other, and be there for one another. Take good care of them, and take good care of yourselves. And we'll see you next Wednesday at noontime. Stay safe out there.